All right, welcome back to season 20. I can't believe we are in the 20s. Welcome to the BuiltOnAir podcast. Regular host, myself, Dan Fellers, and Ali Alosa. Welcome, Ali.
Hello. Glad to be
Hope you
back.
had a good break.
Absolutely. Lots of new stuff.
Yeah, a lot going on. Camille couldn't make it today. She'll be back next week. But we've got a ton of stuff to cover with you today. We'll walk you through what we're going to talk about. We always start, it's an hour-long show talking about all things Airtable. We'll start with our Around the Bases. Lots of things since we've been off for a month that we'll get you caught up on. And then a quick shout out to our sponsor, On2Air Backups. And then I'm going to walk us through an app from the marketplace, deals with AI from API Labs. Then Ali's going to walk us through a couple things in new features and functionality interfaces, conditional coloring, and chart stacking. And then how to join our community. And then finally, I'll walk us through the new functionality of managed apps and components. So with that, around the bases. Okay, first, hopefully we're getting close. We're 2 weeks away, 3 weeks away from Airtable 2024, October 25th and 26th in New York City. And it's going to be mostly a one-day event of content. And then the next day is networking. So excited for that. Ali will be one of the presenters. Keynote? No, not keynote.
Not a keynote, no.
Not a keynote. But yeah, lots of people presenting. I believe Camille was also presenting as well. Justin, welcome in. And so yeah, hopefully we'll see everybody. We might try to do another live show like we did at the last Airtable, where we'll bring on people and talk to everybody about what it's like. And so we'll plan to do that. And please introduce yourself if you're going to be there. We look forward to catching up with everybody there. So, and I believe there's still tickets available. So if you haven't bought a ticket, you can still join us. Okay, let's look through. We'll briefly talk about some of these. Some of these we are going to dive deeper into. But let's see. So since we've been off the air, I think we did talk about some of these before. We always spot them sometimes before they show up in this list. So conditional numbering, color formatting, that's the one that Ali is going to walk us through.
Mm-hmm.
That came out. I think we did highlight it on our last season. Additional share and invite restrictions. So now you can, this is for enterprise, so you can restrict who has access and make it more conditional. So yeah, more stuff there. Maybe we can show that. App library, this is what I'm going to be talking about later in the show. Allows you to have managed apps and components. So pretty cool stuff there. Automation history, date filters. This one is pretty cool.
That one was awesome.
Yeah.
I'm really into that one. And they also made it so you can, if you're looking at the record revision history for something and something's been updated by an automation, that's now a link, as Russell's showing here, which is great. And it doesn't bring you directly to that specific run, but it brings you to a pre-filtered automation history log. So more than likely that run is going to be right at the very top, unless, you had a bunch run at the very same time. So
yeah,
I have to look, but it's a lot easier than having to scroll through for, a few weeks worth of stuff if you're trying to follow the breadcrumbs.
Yep. Yeah, so very, very helpful. Can't tell you how many times I've had to keep scrolling back to find something historically in an automation. And
yeah,
very, very useful.
Now we just need a search bar. That would be the end all be all.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. So that's one, very useful. Let's see what else we got. Okay, this is for enterprise and business. So enterprise user access, you can require multi-factor authentication. That's what, or two-factor authentication. So you can require that. So that's a good thing. Justin Says maybe it's an enterprise thing, but automation failure notices that I receive have a link that takes me directly to the failed run. That's a good point.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. It says view failure, I think, now, instead of, it used to just say like go to automations or something. I can't remember what the button said, but I noticed that the other day as well. And I'm on business, so I don't know if it's enterprise/business or everybody, but I would assume everybody.
Yeah, I don't know. My automations never fail, so I've never seen that.
Good for you, Dan.
Yeah, that's a joke. Sometimes not my fault. Sometimes they're Airtable's fault.
Oh yeah, I mean, I get all of them. My most frequent one now is because people will add a record and then be like, "Oh, oops," and delete it, and then the automation fails because it's trying to update the record that they added, but it's been deleted. So it's like not actually a failure, but it does clog up my inbox quite a bit.
Yeah.
It's a little annoying.
All right, next one, organization. This one I kind of chuckle at, like, okay, organization branding. I'm sorry, I think there's more work to be done on this one.
Yeah.
It basically puts your little logo as the icon, which I guess is something, but I think it needs a little bit more to really get your branding there.
Do they let you like actually load in your own like hex code for the color? Or is
That's what I could not see. Let's look at this. I could not see how to modify the color. I could only see this where you show
yeah,
the logo. So the
interesting.
color is still kind of, you pick from here.
Well, those colors under where it says Zelos look, they don't look like the same Airtable colors. I wonder if those are actually like, your
So
approved
you can set
branding.
these. Maybe I didn't see where you could set these.
I haven't played with it yet, but I'd be interested to see. I
Yeah, maybe in the admin section there is a place to define some colors. So let us know if you're aware of that. But yeah, the only thing I saw was just this where you could turn on the logo.
Mhm.
It just puts the little logo there, which is something. But the challenge is, I mean, I guess many companies only have one base. So if you only have one base, especially for interfaces, if it shows the logo there, then that's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, and last one, restrict API access. So you can specify, this is kind of cool. You can specify users or service accounts that can access the API. So you can kind of restrict and say, oh, okay, only these users can access the API. So that's kind of cool.
Absolutely.
Okay, and then they made a big announcement a couple weeks ago about the app library, basically all the big enterprise stuff. They didn't mention this, but app sandboxing they announced.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty cool. So that basically allows you to have a sandbox and then deploy any functionality features into the production base. I haven't played with it yet, but it's similar to managed apps, so there's some similarity there. This other one, HyperDB, this one I'm excited about. So in the future, I think it's still early. It's not publicly available. You have to sign up for to get access to it, and I don't think all the functionality they talk about here is yet available. So there's still more to come. So it's still in development, and I think still lacking in some functionality, but very excited for this future of how it basically works is you can have a database, what they're calling HyperDB, and you can then create a view of that data. They still have the same restrictions inside the interface of Airtable of number of record limits, but you can have a bigger database and then create a view of records that are then able to get essentially synced into Airtable like a sync table and use that way. I believe for now it's only one way, so it doesn't have yet the ability to write back to the HyperDB directly through the interface. And so Yeah, so 250,000 is the limit that you can sync back in.
Mhm.
Yeah. But I think there is way if you use it as a linked record, you can link to the entire HyperDB. So if you don't need it as a table listing view and you just want to be able to link to a huge data set, then you can do it that way.
Right, and then it'll pull whatever you've linked to, assuming you're still under that 250K, it'll add that to your actual table, is my understanding.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. So not exactly sure. Excited to play with this. Um and so yeah. Let's see in the branding if it shows. Yeah, it doesn't show how to define your colors. So I'm not sure how that works. Oh, here we go. So admin set the org logo and color options with exact hex codes. So that must be in the admin interface.
That's very nice.
Okay. That's a little better. They never show screenshots of where you define it in the admin. All right, moving on. I found so yeah, this is one from Russell talking about the automation history. Okay, I found one undocumented. I was looking at the API, and they added a new endpoint where you can actually upload an attachment. So for the developers out there, with the actual data up to 5 megabytes, you can actually push the actual content of the data as an attachment file. So as long as the attachment's less than 5 megabytes. So this is useful if you had like text and you wanted to push it as a TXT file or something like that. Or if you have, the image data from something that you wanted to just generate an image on the fly or something, you could do that. So that's kind of interesting because by default, how it's always been is it had to be accessible via URL, and you pass in the URL and then it pulls from that destination.
That's interesting. I ran into a situation years ago, and I had to create a return label for a client using an app called ShipStation with the API, and what they gave me back was just this giant string. I think it was base 64 encoded PDF file, and
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't do anything with it because it was too long to put in a text field, and it wasn't a URL, so I couldn't upload it. So I had to find another app. I think I found Cloudinary, and I pushed
Mm-hmm.
that big base 64 string to Cloudinary and got back a URL with the PDF. I don't think that this would even help that, but I don't know, would it?
Yeah.
Maybe.
If it was less than 5 megabytes, yeah, because you specify the content type, so you can specify it as a PDF.
That would have been very helpful at that moment, but it
Yeah.
worked.
So yeah, so use cases like that, definitely, yeah. 5 megabytes, that's not a whole lot to play with, but it's something.
Very cool.
So that was cool. Undocumented API release. That's good to know. I do like that they're still updating the API and thinking about it and doing stuff there.
Absolutely. I would really love to be able to get, this is completely unrelated, but to them updating the API, I want to be able to access who created a field within the metadata. That would be really great.
Yeah, yeah. I wonder on the enterprise. I've been looking more into the audit logs. It might show it in there. Like it's way overkill because I don't think there's a way to just tell me to receive that. It's kind of an all or nothing that you've got to mine through,
Yep.
but could be in there somewhere. Okay, a lot going on in LinkedIn. We've been seeing a lot on LinkedIn and spending time there. Shout out to Nelson. Nelson is leads partnerships at Airtable, and one that Ali and I communicate with a lot. He's been awesome. Looks like he hit his 2-year anniversary at Airtable. So congratulations, Nelson. Wanted to give him a public shout out. He's been a huge help to me personally, I'm sure to Ali as well and all the other partners. He's been amazing to work with, and really appreciate it. I've gone to lunch with him several times, so he's a good friend, and he's been great to work with at Airtable.
Yay. Congratulations, Nelson.
All right. Next one, also from Airtable. So the Academy, let's see, October 8th. So that's today. It is now live for everybody. It used to just be for enterprise. So now it's open to everybody. You can get certified and use all their learning paths that they've got. And so that's cool. So if you haven't had access to it yet, check it out today and see if you can. And on a similar note, they launched a new one, the official Airtable admin certification. And friend of the show, Jen Rudd, was the driving force, and her team was the driving force behind putting together that content. So congrats to Jen for getting that out there. Yeah. I believe Jen will join us on a future episode this season, so she can maybe share some insights into how that came together. Okay, next one. Here's one. AI is obviously becoming a huge part of Airtable, a big push of theirs. Here's a spotlight on how to build something pretty quickly in Airtable. So if you want a live use case, Alexandre posts this on LinkedIn. And okay, here's one, a third-party tool called Ply. So I'm not a customer of Ply, but I have tested it. Basically what it is it works as a Chrome extension. They might support Firefox or other browsers. But it basically allows you to like add functionality inside the application. So if you can see here, let's see if I can make this bigger. It actually go back. Yeah, so basically like overrides the web experience and allows you to insert icons. And so they now support Airtable, where they'll actually insert new buttons that can add more functionality to Airtable to do certain things. It's kind of a cool concept. It does require, anybody using it to have their extension installed. Mm-hmm. But it's kind of cool you're like, I wish Airtable did this. You can add your own functionality on top of it.
That's always
okay. Yeah, you were gonna say?
I just said that's always interesting when you have those things. Yeah.
Yep. Another AI note, Airtable announced that they now support IBM Watson X as a AI model. So if you are using Airtable AI, they allow you to select which model you want to use. So you can use ChatGPT or IBM or a couple others. So that's nice that it's not locked into just one model. You can use different even versions of the same model. So that's a new one. And okay, let's see. So we always like seeing competitors that pop up and clones. So here's a new one I'd never heard of. Jordan here highlights undb.io. So it's an open source, pretty much, I think it's fair to say, pretty similar looking, probably fits in the clone category of Airtable. But if you want to be able to install and run your own for, simple use cases, it's kind of cool. I always like seeing people building stuff like this. You can pay for it or use the open source version yourself. So we'll see. There are a couple other open source similar to this that are probably farther along, but always good to see a new entry.
Absolutely.
Okay. This is a video presentation from a conference from Anthony Maggio, who's VP and head of product management at Airtable. and I liked it. I didn't watch it all, but just basically showing how Airtable uses AI internally for their own product development process. So I like to see that they're dog fooding, what they're building into their product itself. So this isn't just using Airtable, but into their product development process, which uses more than just Airtable. And so that's a cool, if you like to go deeper into the weeds on how Airtable works as a company, there's that. Okay, a few more. Here's somebody upset, very pissed off at Airtable. First, somehow all cells of a very important database of mine got replaced by the number 1972.3. Then the snapshot didn't work, and their support so far slow and unhelpful. Won't be keeping anything in there anymore. And anyways, people reached out, said, please, we can help. You can look at the records and see how it was mysteriously. My guess is there might be some user error there of overwriting.
Easy to paste data over something.
Yep. But I did think it was funny. He works for Angry Building, so he's living up to his name. Being upset about that, but it is unfortunate what happens. Sometimes it's our fault. Snapshots, he was getting an error, so that's unfortunate. If he was trying to
that's a huge bummer.
Bring a snapshot back.
Can help him get a snapshot downloaded. That would I hope so.
Or, which I'll talk about in a second, use OnToAir, and we now have restore functionality, so you can restore whatever data was in there at the last backup and get that back in that way.
That's very nice.
Yep. Okay, we always like to see how people use Airtable for fun and interesting ways. So Alex posts about using Airtable to make coffee, and to drive its IoT. So if you want to watch a video about how to make your coffee using Airtable, check out this one.
That's so funny.
Yeah. One last one from Ali Alosa.
Yay!
Posted a while back about some new functionality. This was the modals to where you can get a confirmation on a button before it does. I think it's on the delete. Is it delete only or on any?
On any of them.
Any of them. Right.
Yeah.
But I think it's required on the delete, right? You couldn't unselect it, if I remember correctly.
I have never used the delete action, but I would hope it's required, because
I think it puts it there, and you can't. It automatically selects it, and you can't unselect it. So
good.
But anyways, I thought it was interesting, the reaction. So many people were like, "Oh yes, I love this. I needed this."
Yeah, it was really exciting to see how pumped people got about that one. And it's so important though, like it's especially because the conditional visibility for buttons is not consistent across every place that the buttons can be, and B, isn't available on all the plan levels. So if you can't hide the button and people can push it whenever they want, at least warn them to let them know what's going to happen when they push it.
Yep, for sure. All right, that wraps up everything in the last month. Tell us your latest, your best, your favorite feature announcement since we've been off the air, or what you're excited about of things that the Airtable is talking about. We'd love to hear what you guys are all using. With that, like I mentioned, onto our backups, we do have restore functionality, so you can now restore backups back into your base. We will be releasing integration with OneDrive here shortly. It's in final Q&A, so that should be coming out in a week or two, as well as some improvements on displaying the results of the backup and more functionality coming. So lots of new stuff coming for OnToAir, and so check it out, ontoair.com. Use promo code BuiltOnAir to get a discount. and start using it to make sure your data is backed up and stored outside of Airtable into Box, Dropbox, Google Drive, and soon coming OneDrive. Okay, now let's check out an app from the marketplace. I like to look at the marketplace because one, I have an app in the marketplace, and I used to have 4 apps. We took out 3 of them and just have our backups app in there now. But I am always trying to push the marketplace, hoping that Airtable puts more emphasis behind it and one day allows it to be able to install these apps inside of interfaces. That I think will really be a game changer. So hopefully one day that will happen. But in the meantime, we can promote those apps that are in there. There's a new one that I just noticed that launched, it looks like in August, called Analyst. And I thought I'd check it out. This is a paid app. They do have, you can use it for some free that I'm on. So I'm not a paid customer of this. I don't know the team behind it. So this is unsolicited use of it. But I thought it was pretty cool. So I'm going to showcase how that works.
Awesome.
So you've got an app, or you got your base, and you want to add your extension, find it in the marketplace, and let's see, it's here somewhere. Anyways, if you do a search for Analyst, there it is, this one right here, and install it. Let's go full screen here. And it's pretty simple. It basically, you pick your table, you can limit the records to a view, and then you give it a prompt of what you want to analyze of that table. So it's for analyzing data across a table. So I had it do it. It does take a minute because it's actually like looking one record at a time to analyze all the data in that record. So I won't run it again for time's sake, but I'll show you the output. So this product launch is just kind of some fake data of different products. It has dollar amounts, progress, things like that, ratings, some tags, and let's look at the output here. Oh, this is the website, the company behind it, if you want to check it out. And then the output generates a pretty cool looking report. And so it kind of, I basically just said, provide analysis of insights into the data from this table. So I gave it a pretty generic prompt, and this is what it outputted. I didn't give it specifics of what I was looking for, but pretty cool insight that you could use for generating a nice looking report that you could use. You could then take this URL, put it back into, I wonder, this is probably less than 5 megs. So you can maybe convert this into an image or something.
Is it live, or you do have to rerun it?
You got to rerun it. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It looks very nice though.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you're looking to get more insights from your data using AI, this is a nice little tool. And then you basically can go to their website and purchase more credits. Let's look at their pricing. So $40 for 4,000 credits. And the report I ran, I think it's per record. I'm not sure exactly what the pricing is, but you can figure that out. I think I used 50 credits to process. I think it only processed like 80 records or something. So to give you a sense. So anyways, check that out. The company does have other stuff that I thought was interesting. They've got a bunch of other AI tools that you could utilize, but that's their API or Airtable app intro to it. So check it out, see if you like it, and let us know your feedback on API Analyst from API Labs. All right, Ali, walk us through some new stuff.
All right.
All
right. This is so there's 2 notable new features and interfaces that I am particularly excited about. The first is around the number element. And what's really cool is it used to be we just had this top part where you could pick a color and you could set whether you want the background color or not. I've also noticed that this is a bug. If you have it on the gray and then you turn on the background color, it doesn't actually set it until you flip to something else and then change it again. So that's just a weirdo thing. But let's say, so this is a base with PTO requests, and then we can call this just total requests. And I'm going to duplicate this. And let's say I want to know how many pending requests I have. So there's 11 pending requests. And I can go and set some conditions for that color, just like you can in the data layer and in interfaces. You can use conditions to set the little color tick at the far left of your records. This is going to function the same way. So I could put a red where the number, so that's just whatever the result is of this number. And I can say if it's greater than 10, I want it to be red. And then I could duplicate it and say if it's greater than 0, I want it to be yellow. And then if it is 0, I could make it green. And this is actually going to be, and then you can set a default fallback color as well. But with these conditions, there's never going to be it will never default to this back because it's either going to be 0 or greater than 0. But then if I want to call this pending requests, and let's add a little filter at the top, and we'll make this so that we're only looking at, we'll say, is before 30 days ago. Or I guess 90. There we go. So now in that time range, there was only 9 pending requests. And if I were to go back even further to, let's say, 180 days ago, it's just going to keep going. I don't know exactly when I have. There, now it's green. So it'll change depending on what your what the result is and what conditions that you've set, which is very nice. So if you want to draw attention to a number that is too high or too low, then you can set it to red. And if it's in the good zone, you can make it green. Very flexible there. Super excited about that one.
That's cool.
It's very cool. I find it extremely useful. Then there's this is kind of a stealth update, I think. I don't think they actually released anything on the What's New page about this, but if you go to your charts and if you have your chart grouped by something, like let's say I want to group this by status. And now I have this option of stacking. They did do a small update a couple of months ago where they had a little toggle that said switch to 100% stacked bar chart, which I love as well. But now there's another option, which people have been asking for since interfaces came out. If you've been using Airtable for a long time and we're familiar with the chart extension that predates interfaces, you did have this option in the chart extension / you can still use it, where you can choose to stack it or not. And that was missing from interfaces when interfaces came out. So people were like, I want that back. And now we have it back, which is great. So by default, it goes with standard, which is stacking your results. So it's going to show each of those colors one on top of each other. And then if you switch it to none, you'll see them next to each other. So you can see the real proportion of all of those numbers. Let's reset these. So now you can see there's other stacked or other groups rather. And I also really love the 100%, which I think we've already talked about at least once before, but this is nice because it'll show you the, you know, relative proportion of each one of your groups across all of the bars here. And it always just looks so pretty. Like if I change this to department, can't remember which one is colored. I think this one's colored. Yeah. I just think they look so pretty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. But so yeah, more flexibility with charts and with the number element, and you can do all sorts of fun things with your colors, which I'm always excited about.
Yep. Very cool. Yeah. So if you want to see relativeness, you can use the 100 stacked. If you want to see actual amounts, then the standard or the none. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that looks nice.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Into that. Bucket it by year instead.
So what's still missing in charts?
Oh, there's a few things. I do love that you can have more than one y-axis now, which is really nice. And you can have where is it? You can even have more than one field on your y-axis, which is also great. Haven't really been able to use it the way I want to, but I'm not sure what's going on there. There's, you know, the one thing I really would like is if you are doing the scatter plot, it always reduces you down to just one dot. Like, and in the chart extension, it doesn't. Like if you used a scatter plot in the chart extension, it would show you a point for every single record, which I would really love because I was trying to find like the distribution of something the other day and like get a feel for where all of my things are plotted, and it kept averaging it out. And I don't know. I would really love to be able to see each individual plot.
Gotcha. Interesting.
But other than that, they've made leaps and bounds. I am very happy with where charts are at the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Awesome. Thank you, Ali, for keeping us up to date on interfaces. Put mine back. Okay. We're going pretty quickly here throughout. If you have not joined our community yet, please join us. BuiltOnAir.com/join gets you in for free, gets you access to our Slack community with thousands of Airtable users and fans and people talking about it daily. Also gets you access to our new and improved newsletter that's coming out every week or two with great content, keep you up to date in not only Airtable, but the broader automation, no code, low code space. And so it keeps you up to date on everything, as well as anytime we're jumping on for the podcast. So it keeps you up to date there. So please join us, BuiltOnAir.com/join. Okay, this one is more than a field. I need a new screen, a new segment for things like this. But managed apps and components. This is enterprise only. So you can find it in the admin panel if you're an enterprise user. I believe on either tier. So my understanding is the business is also kind of considered enterprise. So this, I think, is available on business. Is that correct, Ali?
Yeah, I believe most of the time when I've heard them say it's only available for enterprise, I still can see it, except nope. I don't see it for a business.
App and components right here. Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe so they have business and then enterprise scale. So it might be enterprise scale and above that this is available to. So basically within here, there's two things: a managed app and components. And they're pretty much the same thing. The main difference is a managed app is everything. So everything inside of a base is locked in, and you don't break it into smaller pieces. It's an all or nothing. If you just care about certain things, and we'll talk about what those things are, and you just want to replicate a set of fields or a set of tables or automations or specific interfaces, then you can break those into components and just have managed components. So managed app is basically all of the components inside of a base, whereas components, you can break it down into more modular things that can be shared. And what this means is you can have a base that is your definition of that app or those components, and then you can publish them into this sort of global management environment, and then those can then get deployed into new bases or new workspaces. And anything that's managed within here can't be modified. It's as if it was like a synced, data field or something. It can only be modified in the managed app or managed components element to it. So it's a way for enterprise users, if you've got lots of users, but you want to lock down certain functionality and say everybody use this and not give them the ability to modify those things, then you can centralize the management. So very useful in an enterprise use case where you don't want everybody, messing with your components or bases, things like that. So that's how it works. So we're going to walk us through. So basically, the main thing is you can use an existing base and then turn it into a managed app. So what you would do, but you do have to start here. So you start here and you go to publish a managed app, give it a name and then a description. And then right here is where you toggle. So if you don't toggle this, it will create a new app or a new base that you then use to work from. Or if you click this, then you can select an existing app that then becomes your source for your managed app. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to click on this one. This is one I've already created. And this shows me the link to it that we'll go to in a second. It kind of gives me a sense of what's in here. In the content, you can kind of see the tables that are associated with it. So any table in the base, any automations, and any interfaces that are published. So this is kind of nice, even just to see like, oh, here's a good overview of everything going on inside of a base. So it kind of maps the same layers. So you have your data layer, your tables, that's essentially your data layer, your automations and your interfaces. Forms, I don't know if forms are considered managed. They don't show up here. We'll have to test that.
Yeah, interesting.
Okay, so we'll see. We're gonna click on this, and so now we're inside our our actual managed app. And the main difference that you'll see right here is this drop down. And so it tells us that this is our development app and we're in development mode. And so any changes that we make, so if we just want to create a new field, it's only created. Oh, I've already done that. It's only created in our development environment. And so what we have to do, and there's two ways you could do it. And one thing you'll notice is this icon changed colors. So that tells me that something has been updated or added to this base. And it tells me one field has been added. So there's an update used to this. And so this icon here I'll show in a second. So anyways, you make all your changes that you want to your environment, either at the data layer, the automation layer, or the interface layer. And then you can click on this publish to library. You can also click on this drop down and publish to library, or you can click on this and this takes you to that managed app. Let's see, which is interesting. This is different. Yeah, okay, so here's a little bit more information on it. So let's go back to our base. And yeah, so if we So then if we want to publish it, it will tell us, okay, you're publishing data, you're going to publish a new field. If I had made changes to automation or interface, those would show up as well. This is kind of the general overall information about the managed app and who it's available to. So you can specify this is available to any creator in here, or specific to user groups or everyone at my company. And then I can just now publish the update. And now it shows me that I shouldn't have anything. I think I need to refresh the page so that doesn't showcase there. Still showing. Oh, never mind. This is something different. What this is showing is I'm actually using a component from the library added to this base. And so this is, I'll get to that when we talk about components. So yeah, so ignore this button. So right now we're just in our managed app and we just deployed a change and we can do that. And then let's see, so if we go here and we've got our managed app, and in order to use it, let's see. So I believe in order to use it, we have to come here and essentially create a new from the template and apps. So create templates and apps. And then inside of our app library, we can create from the managed app. So this is how you repurpose the app that you've created. So now if I were to create this, this tells me what's in it, which is really nice. Now I can add this. Okay, and let's do this. And now we're going to create a new app. And what we'll see is nothing is configurable inside of here because it's all configured. And you see I don't have that drop down showing me that I'm in development mode.
Yep.
And so now you see, it looks like you can rename the fields, but you can't modify the configuration because it's managed by your organization. It can't be deleted and some changes are restricted. But you can add new fields, which is interesting. So you can expand beyond the managed base to do that. But so you can rename, you can't change configuration, automations. Looks like, let's see, can I update automations?
Doesn't look
No. So you can't update automations, but you can create new ones. So you can expand beyond the managed app, but you can't modify what is managed as part of the app.
Okay.
So that's pretty cool. Yeah, we'll have to test if forms get synced over. I don't think they do. So forms might be separate.
That's interesting.
Yeah, so that's that. So the main difference, like I mentioned, for a component is, it's just one piece of an app. And so like this I thought was interesting. I remember somebody, if you're international and you like always deal in your currency, it's a pain to have to go to every currency field and update it. Or if you're in a time zone in any date field, you want to always have them locked down to your time zone. You could create a field that has that configuration and then just tell people to use that field from the component library, and then it's configured with your way and you don't have to reconfigure it every time. And so I'll show how you can do that. So if we go back to our base, and if I were to click on this, there is now this fields from library option. And so now you can click on this, and my field comes from this test component, and it's a date field, and it's configured for the settings, East Coast time zone, and the settings that I want. And then you can just specify your own name for that date field. And then you're good to go. So it's a way to like predefine fields, put them into your component library, and then just remember to, instead of creating a new one from here, just get fields from library as well. And that works for, let's see, I haven't done an automation. Let's see, I wonder if, okay, so it doesn't have the icon there. How would you get an automation from a component? Maybe because I don't have any.
Right. Do you have to go, where do you create the components? Is that all from the admin panel?
So you have to at least define, let's do a test one. Okay. Let's create from existing. Let's do it from here. Okay, so now I'm going to create, which is kind of crazy. This is synced with a managed app, and I'm turning it into a component. So you have to create it, you have to define it here, and then now it took me to there. And now it's turned this into a development base.
Okay.
And let's see here. So now if I want to publish to library, okay, so in order to do anything other than data or structure or just fields, if you do custom, you can now pick your automation. So what if we just did, oh, and it does have to take your data because your automation, it's actually smart enough to know what automations, what tables this automation references,
right,
and it automatically will include those. And so now it's been published as an automation. Let's go to here. See if I can install an automation. So it doesn't, let's see.
If you just add a trigger for that, I think it'll change your little sidebar.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, and then
Let's see. To see. Let's go to our data layer, and so to get a table,
yeah.
So maybe we have to do the table, and let's see, view library. Let's go all components. So it doesn't show that. Oh, there it is. Let's see if it adds our automation. So here, I guess, okay, so you have to add the table data, and then add component. So that's how you get the automation. And there we go.
Okay.
So, and probably similar for interfaces. I don't think, let's see, can you add an interface? So these templates are the default pre-built ones by Airtable. Let's see, can I add interface? Yeah, I don't think. So it must work the same way. You have to add the data first, and then it will automatically add the interfaces tied to that component. So there you go. All right. So that kind of is, I think it is really useful, especially for a multi-department team, and being able to centralize your components The bad part is there are times where you're like, I want to, kind of take ownership of it. And I believe you can, let me see, can I, let's see, open in library. This table can't be deleted and some changes. I thought there was a way to like remove it from being managed. But maybe not.
Maybe in the admin panel.
Yeah, let's see here. Okay. Oh, there we go. Convert to unmanaged. That's where it is. Okay. So inside the library right here, you can convert it to unmanaged. So if I do that, then it basically now everything becomes as if it was installed by scratch. And so now I can.
Is that restricted, like that option, to just the person that created the component or just the like workspace owner? Because that would kind of defeat the purpose if you like launch it out and then anybody can just say, nope, this is mine now. Or like,
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. Yeah, maybe we'll test that out.
I would assume so, but we'll see.
Yep. Yeah, if anybody knows, let us know. Yeah, I didn't see in the management of these like a way to lock it. You can lock down who can install it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you could, my guess is whoever can install it can uninstall it. So if you lock down who can install it, then only those people could uninstall.
That makes sense, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good. So that's managed apps and components. It's definitely something, yeah, I know we work with some pretty large companies that could benefit from this. And so we're starting to incorporate it into our workflows going forward.
Yeah, I could see the components being very useful. Like what you described is like if you're sick of, every time you add a date field having to reconfigure it or a currency field or whatever it might be. That I could see being super useful. The app thing within an organization, to me, I'm having trouble seeing the like benefit of it as where it stands right now, only because it's like it doesn't come with, I mean, maybe it could come with the data itself. But it's like, doesn't that just kind of encourage people to silo their data more? Where it's like, I'm gonna use this app that somebody built, but I'm gonna have only this data in it, and then someone else has it over here with different data in it, and it just, I don't know. I'm sure there'll be more added to it, and it'll become more clear what the
Yeah.
are.
Right. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, because I could see it being a challenge of like, I think maybe it's a good starting point for like a mini app inside of a big base where if you want to like standardize to have an interface that, displays all this information or something. So you could standardize around that. But at some point, it'll be like, okay, I need to make this my own now inside of this base. So I need to unmanage it. And then you kind of lose some of those benefits.
Mhm.
Yeah. So anyways, let us know how you're going to plan to use it and use cases for it. Excited to see how that develops. And that concludes today's episode 1 of season 20. So we'll be back for 8 episodes in total for this season. That'll take us through October and November. We still have 1 or 2 openings for guests to come on the show for this season. So we'd love to see new faces. If you haven't been on the show before or it's been a while, come back and join us. Give us an update. We'd love to hear from you and see what you're building. And until next week, we will see you then. Take care.
Thank you.